Dating after 60. Older men who value you will do these when you stop talking to him. Ladies, let me ask you something that might feel all too familiar. You've been enjoying wonderful conversations with a mature man, perhaps sharing lovely dates and meaningful connection. But then something shifts. Maybe he becomes less attentive, starts taking you for granted, or begins treating your time together as optional rather than precious. So you decide to step back, to stop initiating contact, and see what happens when you're not always available. Welcome back to 60 Wise Living Advice. Here's what I've learned after decades of observing relationships. How a man responds when you stop talking to him reveals everything about his true feelings and intentions. A man who genuinely values you will react very differently than one who is simply enjoying your convenient availability. Today, I'm revealing the specific behaviors that mature men who truly value you will demonstrate when you step back and stop initiating contact. These aren't games or manipulation tactics. They're the natural responses of someone who realizes they might be losing something precious. If you're ready to understand how genuine interest reveals itself when tested by your absence and want to learn the difference between a man who values you and one who was simply enjoying your attention, hit that subscribe button now. We're building a community of wise women who know their worth and can recognize when that worth is truly appreciated by others.
What he'll do, number 1, he'll reach out within days, not weeks. My dear friends, let me share something that will save you months, maybe even years, of wondering where you stand with a man. This first sign is like a lighthouse in the fog of modern dating. It cuts through all the confusion and shows you exactly how he feels about having you in his life. A man who genuinely treasures your presence will feel your absence in his bones. He won't wait weeks hoping you'll eventually reach out again. He won't casually assume you're just busy with other things. No, ladies, when someone truly values you, they notice immediately when something precious is missing from their daily life. Think about this for a moment. When you stop being the one who always initiates, no more of those sweet good morning texts that brightened his day, no more checking in calls to see how he's doing, no more being the one to suggest dinner plans or weekend activities, something shifts in his world. If he truly cares, he'll feel that emptiness like a cold spot in a warm room. Within days, not weeks, not months, a man who values your place in his life will reach out. And here's what's beautiful about it. He won't just send some casual, "Hey, what's up?" text. He'll contact you with genuine concern, real awareness that something has changed, and honest worry about what your silence might mean. I think of my friend Dorothy, 65 and wise enough to finally stop chasing someone who should have been chasing her. After months of being the one to initiate almost every conversation with Michael, she decided to step back and see what would happen. "I stopped sending him my usual good morning messages," she told me, "and I didn't call to make our weekend plans like I always did. My heart was breaking, wondering if he'd even notice." But here's what happened that brought tears to her eyes. Michael called her within 3 days. "Dorothy," he said, and she could hear the genuine concern in his voice. "I noticed we haven't talked as much this week, and I wanted to make sure everything was okay. I've been missing our conversations, missing your voice. Did I do something wrong?" That response, ladies, told Dorothy everything she needed to know. He was paying attention to their communication patterns. He valued their regular contact enough to notice immediately when it was missing. He cared enough about their connection to address the change directly rather than just letting it slide by. Now contrast this with a man who doesn't truly value your presence. He might not even notice your absence for weeks. Or if he does notice, he assumes you're handling whatever's keeping you busy and doesn't feel compelled to check in. His silence speaks volumes. You're nice to have around, but not essential to his happiness. The timing of his response reveals everything about how important your regular presence is to his daily life. and how quickly he feels the loss when you're not there filling that space in his heart. When a man truly cares, your absence creates an immediate void that he feels compelled to address. When he doesn't care deeply, your absence is just noticed eventually, if at all.
What he'll do, number 2. He'll ask direct questions about the change. Now here's something that separates the men who truly care from those who are just comfortable having you around. When a man genuinely values your connection, he won't just sit passively wondering why you've become quieter. He won't brush off the change or hope it will just resolve itself. No, my dear friends, he'll gather his courage and address it head on, because losing you feels like too important a risk to leave to chance. This is where you'll see his emotional maturity shine through. Instead of playing guessing games or sending vague texts hoping you'll just go back to normal, he'll ask the kinds of direct, vulnerable questions that show he's genuinely worried about what's happening between you two. Listen for questions like these, because they reveal a heart that's truly invested. I've noticed we haven't been talking as much lately, and it's been weighing on my mind. Is everything all right between us? Or did I do something that hurt you? You seem more distant, and I can't stop thinking about what might have changed. Or perhaps most telling of all, I miss our regular conversations so much. Have I been taking you for granted? Do you hear the difference, ladies? These aren't casual inquiries. These are the words of a man who's lying awake at night, wondering if he's somehow damaged something precious to him. My friend Patricia, 67, and finally learning to value herself as much as she valued others, experienced this beautiful awakening when she stepped back from Robert. For months, she had been the one initiating every conversation, making every plan, being completely available whenever she needed her. Finally, feeling taken for granted, she decided to pull back and see if he would notice. I was terrified, Patricia told me, thinking maybe he'd just be relieved to have less responsibility to respond to me. But after 4 days, Robert didn't just send some casual text hoping I'd respond. He called me, and I could hear the genuine worry in his voice. Patricia, he said, I feel like something has shifted between us, and I'm honestly scared I've done something wrong. I can't concentrate on anything else until I know we're okay. Can we please talk about what's happening? That phone call changed everything for Patricia because it showed her something beautiful. She mattered enough to him that her distance created genuine anxiety. He wasn't just missing the convenience of her attention. He was missing her, specifically her, and was willing to risk an uncomfortable conversation to understand what was wrong. This direct approach reveals so much about a man's character. He's showing emotional courage by addressing what could be a difficult topic. He's demonstrating that your relationship is important enough to him that he's willing to be vulnerable, to admit he might have made mistakes, to risk hearing things that might be hard to hear. Compare this to a man who doesn't truly value you. He might notice your distance. How could he not, when his texts are going unanswered and his calls are being ignored? But instead of addressing it directly, he'll send occasional casual messages testing the waters without really committing to understanding what's changed. He might say things like, "Hey, stranger," or "You've been quiet lately." Comments that acknowledge your absence without actually taking responsibility for addressing it seriously. The willingness to have potentially uncomfortable conversations about your relationship status shows he values your connection enough to risk vulnerability in order to protect and repair what you've built together. It tells you that losing you isn't something he's willing to just let happen without a fight.
What he'll do, 3. He'll take responsibility without making excuses. Now, my beautiful listeners, here's where you'll truly see a man's character shine through, and it's perhaps the most telling response of all. When a man who genuinely treasures you realizes that your pulling away might be connected to something he's done or failed to do, he won't rush to defend himself. He won't pile up excuses like a wall between you. Instead, he'll do something that takes real courage. He'll look honestly in the mirror and examine his own heart and actions. This is emotional maturity at its finest, and it's breathtakingly rare. Instead of immediately protecting his ego, he'll consider the painful possibility that he might have hurt someone he cares about. He'll ask himself the hard questions. Have I been taking her for granted? Have I been so comfortable with her love that I stopped showing appreciation? Have I been treating her availability as guaranteed instead of the gift it is? I think of my dear friend Linda, 64, and finally learning to value herself enough to step back when she wasn't being valued in return. She'd been seeing David for several months, but lately he'd been canceling their plans at the last minute, assuming she'd always be available whenever his schedule freed up, treating her like a convenience rather than a priority. When Linda finally stepped back, stopped being so available, stopped rearranging her life around his changing whims, David's response took her breath away. "I've been thinking about how I've been handling our time together," he said, and she could hear genuine remorse in his voice. "And I realize I've been pretty inconsiderate with your schedule and your feelings. I can see why you might be pulling back, and honestly, I would too if someone treated me the way I've been treating you." Can you imagine how that felt for Linda? After months of wondering if she was asking for too much, suddenly here was this man taking full responsibility for his behavior without a single excuse about work stress or busy schedules or any of the other justifications he could have easily offered. This kind of self-reflection and accountability reveals so much about a man's character. It shows emotional intelligence, the ability to step outside his own perspective and see how his actions affect someone else. It demonstrates genuine care for your feelings, not just concern about the consequences for himself. Most importantly, it shows the maturity to examine his own behavior honestly, rather than just focusing on your reaction to it. But compare this to a man who doesn't truly value your place in his life. When confronted with your distance, he'll often respond with defensiveness that sounds like, "I've been really busy with work," or "You know I care about you," or "I didn't think you'd be upset about that." He'll make you feel like you're overreacting, like you're asking for too much, like the problem is your sensitivity rather than his inconsideration. But a man who truly values you, he'll value your relationship more than he values being right. He'll choose the discomfort of self-examination over the comfort of denial. He'll risk admitting he was wrong because losing you feels like a far worse outcome than admitting his mistakes. This ability to take responsibility without making excuses tells you that he sees you as someone worth changing for, someone worth growing for, someone whose happiness matters more to him than his pride. Are you starting to see the difference between genuine concern and casual interest? Between a man who values your presence and one who just enjoys your convenience? Share in the comments which of these responses would mean the most to you. Your insights help other women recognize when they're truly valued and appreciated. What he'll do, number 4. He'll make specific changes in his behavior. Here's where you'll see the most concrete proof of how much you truly mean to him, ladies. A man who genuinely values your place in his life won't just offer pretty apologies or acknowledge his mistakes. He'll roll up his sleeves and make specific, observable changes that show he's actually learned from losing your attention. If your stepping back was because he never planned ahead, leaving you feeling like an afterthought, he'll start making concrete plans in advance. If it was his inconsistent communication that made you feel unimportant, he'll establish reliable contact patterns. If he'd been taking your availability for granted, assuming you'd always be there whenever convenient for him, he'll start asking about your schedule and preferences like they actually matter. My friend Margaret, 68, witnessed this beautiful transformation firsthand. After I pulled back because Thomas had been so casual about our relationship, last-minute invitations, no real planning, treating our time together like it would just magically happen, everything changed. He started calling earlier in the week to make weekend plans, asking what I'd actually enjoy doing, treating our time together as something precious that deserved thought and preparation. These behavioral changes prove something powerful. He's not just saying what you want to hear to get things back to normal. He's willing to put in actual effort to demonstrate that your concerns were heard and taken seriously. He's showing through actions, not just words, that keeping you in his life is worth changing for. The beautiful part is that these changes are specific to exactly what prompted your distance, proving he was really listening and understanding your needs, not just making generic improvements to smooth things over. What he'll do, number 5, he'll express genuine appreciation for you. When a man who truly treasures you realizes he might have been taking your beautiful presence for granted, something shifts in his heart. He'll begin expressing genuine appreciation, not generic compliments that could apply to anyone, but specific, heartfelt acknowledgement of exactly what you bring to his life that no one else could. Listen for words like these, because they reveal a man who's been reflecting deeply. I realized how much I look forward to hearing your voice throughout the day. It's become the best part of every day. Or, I've been thinking about how much happier, how much more alive I feel when we're together. Or perhaps most touching of all, I didn't fully appreciate how much your thoughtfulness and care mean to me until I felt that awful distance between us. My friend Helen, 66, experienced this heartfelt awakening when James finally understood what he'd been risking. He didn't just try to get back to normal, she told me with tears in her eyes. He started telling me specific things he appreciated about me that I didn't even know he noticed. He said, "I love how you always remember what matters to me." And, "Helen, I realize I haven't told you how much your laugh brightens my entire week, how much I've missed that sound." This genuine appreciation serves a beautiful purpose. It shows he's been reflecting on your irreplaceable value in his life, and it demonstrates that he never wants to take you for granted again. The appreciation feels authentic because it's born from his real experience of missing you and recognizing what he almost lost. What he'll do, number 6, he'll prioritize rebuilding your connection. Now here's where you'll see a man's true intentions, ladies. A man who genuinely values you will make rebuilding your connection his active priority, not something he hopes will just magically fix itself over time. He understands that trust, once shaken, requires intentional effort to restore. He'll plan special activities that show he's been thinking about what brings you joy. He'll initiate deeper conversations about your relationship and what you both need going forward. Most importantly, he'll be more present and attentive when you're together, showing through his actions that he's learned from almost losing something precious. My friend Sarah, 69, witnessed this beautiful commitment when Robert realized how close he'd come to losing her. She shared, "He didn't just apologize and expect everything to return to normal. Robert suggested we take a weekend trip together, somewhere he knew I'd always wanted to go. He planned thoughtful dates that showed he'd been paying attention to what makes me happy, and we started having meaningful conversations about our hopes for the future." This prioritization of rebuilding shows emotional maturity. He understands that relationships require ongoing investment and attention. He's not taking the lazy approach of just waiting for time to heal things. He's actively working to strengthen your bond because he's learned that something this valuable requires intentional care. The effort he puts into rebuilding tells you everything. He sees your relationship as worth fighting for, worth investing in, worth doing the work to make even stronger than before. Which of these responses would most clearly show you that someone truly values your presence in their life? Share your thoughts below. Your experiences help other women recognize genuine appreciation when they see it. Now here's what you need to understand about all of these responses. They're not just reactions to your absence. They're revelations of his true feelings about your relationship that might have been hidden under the comfort of routine or assumption. When you step back and stop initiating contact, you're essentially creating a test of his genuine investment in your connection. A man who is just enjoying your convenient availability will often let your absence slide without much concern. But a man who truly values you will feel the loss immediately and take action to address it. These responses also show emotional maturity and relationship skills that are essential for long-term partnership. The ability to notice changes in relationship dynamics, address concerns directly, take responsibility for his behavior, make concrete improvements, express genuine appreciation, and prioritize rebuilding connection, these are the qualities that make for lasting, fulfilling relationships. What's beautiful about this approach is that it works regardless of the outcome. If he responds with these behaviors, you know you found someone who truly values your connection and is willing to work for it. If he doesn't respond this way, you've learned something important about his level of investment and can make informed decisions about your future together. Ladies, I want you to remember something crucial. You deserve to be with someone who notices when you're not there, who cares enough to find out why, and who's willing to make changes to ensure your connection remains strong and fulfilling. These 6 responses, reaching out quickly, asking direct questions, taking responsibility, making behavioral changes, expressing genuine appreciation, and prioritizing rebuilding connection, these are the qualities that make for lasting, fulfilling relationships. Don't settle for someone who only appreciates you when you're gone or who takes your presence for granted until you remove it. The right man will show consistent appreciation for your connection and work actively to maintain and strengthen it, not just react when it's threatened. Your worth isn't determined by how much someone misses you when you're absent. It's constant and inherent. But how someone responds to your absence can tell you everything about whether they're capable of appreciating and cherishing that worth in daily life. As Maya Angelou reminded us, when someone shows you who they are, believe them. When you step back and a man shows you through his response how much you truly mean to him, believe that too and make your relationship decisions based on actions, not just words. If this message helped you understand how genuine value and appreciation reveal themselves when tested, please subscribe to our channel and share this with other mature women who deserve to know when they're truly cherished. Remember, you're not just getting older, you're getting wiser about recognizing authentic care and refusing to accept anything less than genuine appreciation for your presence in someone's life. I'll see you in our next video where we'll continue exploring how to recognize and cultivate the kind of mature love that honors your worth every single day. Until then, remember, the right person will show you through their actions that losing you would be a genuine loss they're not willing to risk.